Officials gathering at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library to discuss security challenges both at home and abroad. Special report anchor and author of To Rescue the Republic, Ulysses S. Grant, The Fragile Union and the Crisis of 1876, Bret Baier sits down a little later with Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. It's coming in just a few hours. You want to watch that, but first he joins us live now from Simi Valley. Hey, Bret, thank you for taking time. Tell us what is happening there.
Alicia, good afternoon.
Tell me what you want to ask the Secretary about. Bret, you got me there?
We've got a big day ahead here. It just dropped out there. But listen, this sitting down with the Defense Secretary gives an opportunity. He doesn't do that many interviews, actually. And he's going to be obviously dealing with a host of issues. He gives prepared remarks first that we're told will be really focused on China and perhaps a different tone about China than he has had and the administration has had before. We'll watch for that. But then I'll follow up with him for about 20 minutes in front of a crowd here at the Reagan Defense Forum. And obviously we'll carry that live on Fox News Channel. The breaking news is the efforts by Russia and what you just heard, some 100,000 troops almost on the eastern Ukrainian border. What does the U.S. do if Putin, as U.S. intel suggests, does move in early 2022?
Bret, are folks there talking about really how significant this Russia news is as it pertains, as you mentioned, perhaps to China? For instance, what's China going to do? Go into Taiwan if Putin is not stopped from going into Ukraine? Are these conversations you're hearing out there?
A lot of them, and a lot of people tied to the defense industry or congressmen tied somehow to the administration have real concerns about what Russia and China are doing, and actually the link between the two and the relationship between the two. You're right. The U.S. military faces a lot of things, but if Russia moves into Ukraine, if China moves into Taiwan, what does that look like? What is the U.S. response? Those are very complex answers for this administration, and ones, well, I'll pose to the Defense Secretary in one way or another in a little bit.
And Bret, I've got to believe that people are talking and contrasting perhaps the different approach that President Biden is taking with President Ronald Reagan. Last night on Special Report, you played for our viewers a soundbite of President Reagan in 1983 to a speech to evangelicals. I want to just play that again for our viewers today and get your reaction. Here is President Reagan in 1983.
In your discussions of the nuclear freeze proposals, I urge you to beware the temptation of pride, the temptation of blithely declaring yourselves above it all and label both sides equally at fault, to ignore the facts of history and the aggressive impulses of an evil empire, to simply call the arms race a giant misunderstanding, and thereby remove yourself from the struggle between right and wrong and good and evil.
Bret, as you listen to former President Reagan and compare it to what we hear from President Biden today, what are your thoughts?
Well, listen, when we come to this forum every year, and Fox has been coming for a number of years, that is in the background. You know, what Ronald Reagan as president said and did with the Soviets back then and around the world. It was stark. It was black and white. Now there's a lot of nuance when talking about Russia and China. And there are some people here who want it to be more like Reagan, obviously. But then there's another side of the country that's very concerned about getting the U.S. involved in another armed conflict or several at the same time. And can the U.S. military handle that? Those are all things that are really being discussed here at this forum in various panels throughout the day.
And Bret, we also, I assume, will hear a little bit from Secretary Austin about Iran and their really demands at this point over a renewed nuclear agreement.
Yeah, it seems like that's falling apart. The State Department is saying, or at least projecting, Griff, that it's not going well and Iran's not bending to a new nuclear deal. I think there's a lot of things to focus on. The world is a lot of hot spots. And then you have the issues internally about mandates for vaccines and the National Guard, the fight with Oklahoma, what Florida is doing. A lot of topics that we'll get to here with the Defense Secretary. I just hope we have enough time.
I hope they give you a lot of time with the Secretary. Just, I think, for our viewers to preview what's coming here in just about 2 hours. What do you hope most to get out of the Secretary, to hear from him?
Listen, I think it's just blunt questions, answers that hopefully the administration can provide on some of these issues to provide context about what we're looking at around the world. Again, he doesn't do that many interviews, and to get an insight from the Defense Secretary is a really unique thing. Hopefully, we'll be able to cover a whole bunch of topics, but the most pressing ones, obviously, we'll lead with first.
Chief Political Anchor Bret Baier taking time for us out in Simi Valley. Bret, thank you, and we will be tuned in, and all of our viewers should stay tuned because Bret will have a lot more to say and talk about with Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. That's coming up in the 3 p.m. hour from the Reagan National Defense Forum in Simi Valley. And you can catch, of course, Bret on Special Report Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. on the Fox News Channel.